Hi guys, Coach Peter here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm coming to you today with a tip on the forehand. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you know that I'm not such a big fan of saying that every player's forehand has to look exactly the same specific way, because that's just not true. If you look at the pros, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, they all have the same foundation, the same biomechanics, but they all look different. And there's a couple of things that play a role, but I want to make it practical today. I'm gonna give you two things to consider when you're looking at your forehand. So if you're asking yourself, how should I swing my forehand? And the answer is it depends. And for me, it depends on the grip. I'm gonna start with the Eastern grip, almost continental, but Eastern. If you look at that, so there's continental and there's Eastern. Okay, Federer is between Eastern, depending on the day, and he sometimes go a little bit closer to Western, but Federer is Eastern. Okay, now what I want to tell you, if you have an Eastern grip, you can get away with your contact point a little bit later. The reason being, you're a little bit stronger here. If you go Western grip, the more Western you go, the further in front the contact point has to be. If you have a very Western grip, you can't hit the ball here, there's no power. Okay, so remember that. If you have the Eastern grip, you might get away with a later contact point. You still want to get it in front of you, but you might get away with this. Okay, Western grip, okay, you can't get away with a late contact point. You have to keep it in front. Okay, another thing with the Eastern grip, it's a little bit easier to pick up low balls. Western grip, harder to pick up low balls, but easier to get high balls. Okay, Eastern grip, high ball, more difficult, low ball a bit easier. Western, low ball harder, high one a bit easier. I hope you can see that the way you swing a racket depends on your grip. Okay, another thing I want to show you, if you remember the olden days when the guys were playing with a continental grip, they were very stiff and they didn't have a big rotation. Not all of them, and they were a lot more closed in the body because they could get away with this. The more you go towards Western, so Eastern, you're gonna have to have a bigger swing to get more angular momentum, and the more Western you go, the bigger the turn should be to get that swing. Okay, so it all depends on what you want. If you want more spin, of course Western, but then you need to make sure that you use your open stance quite often. More Western, and then a lot of racket head speed over the ball. The more Eastern you go, you might be able to get the ball more flat, but then you're going to have to be more close to get the most out of it. So there's so many things that I can talk about in terms of those two grips, but you have to understand there's no straight way, there's no fixed way of how you're going to swing the racket. So I hope that helps, guys. Just to recap, Eastern grip, you can hit the ball a little bit later. You can hit the ball, the low balls are a bit easier, high balls are a bit harder. The Western grip, if you want to come a bit closer to see the Western grip, remember the low ball will be harder, so you need to use your legs more. The high ball will be easier, and you have to get the ball earlier in front to get away with the Western grip. Okay, and then the more Western you go, the more you're going to have to use your shoulders to turn, shoulders, hips, and the more Eastern you go, the less you have to turn, and you can be a bit more close stance. Hope that helps, guys. Please comment if you have any other questions, or if something doesn't make sense, and please like and subscribe, just to make sure that you catch my next video as well. Have a good one.